Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Yadavidya-vilasena Bhuta-bhautika-srishtaya Tam Naumi Paramatmanam Sachidananda-vigraham. Okay, so last class we saw all the arguments, how the mind is not really a sense organ. Every sense perception involves the mind, definitely, but the mind itself is not a sense organ. All those arguments, worldly, shastric, all that we saw for that. Okay. Then you also said about the sukha dukkha experience, etc., are because of adhyasa with the mind. You are taking the mind as yourself. Therefore, the whole thing comes into the picture. Okay. And he says, the last argument that we were seeing when the recording went off was in this book, page 11. Okay. Na chaivam manasaha anindriyatve sukhadi pratyakshasya sakshatvam na syat. He says, if the mind is not a sense organ, how can you take the perception of sukha, etc., as direct and immediate? Now, why is this question asked? Because this question is coming from Tarka. Indriyajanya jnanam is pratyaksha jnanam, direct, immediate. If therefore blue color, direct because pratyaksham. No, sukhadi, there is no sense organ used. You are saying it is in the mind. And if mind is not a sense organ, how are you seeing the sukha dukkha, etc.? It will not be direct. But your anubhava is, it is direct. It is not that you look into, I got what you wanted, therefore I must be happy. Do you make an inferential conclusion? Or direct, I am happy? Direct, no? So direct. Your anubhava is that it is direct. And the argument from Tarka is because it is not sense organ, how will it be direct? Therefore, he says, Indriya Janyatvaditam na syat. Indriya Janyatvam is not what is looked upon for it being direct or indirect. Okay. Nahi Indriya Janyatvena jnanasya sakshatvam. Jnanasya sakshatvam is not depending upon Indriya Janyam. What do you mean by jnanasya sakshatvam? Here is the tricky point. This is a phone. Indriya Janya jnanam. That this is a phone is directly known to you. Sakshatkara. Sakshat. Sakshat meaning immediate. Don't take it as perception. Immediate. Now, it's a noise outside. Some kids are at play. Inferential knowledge. The kids you have not seen, so it's inferent. The kids are indirectly known to you. Now you have a knowledge in your mind. Pay attention here. You have a knowledge in your mind. Kids are at play. Inferential knowledge. That inferential knowledge is directly known to you or indirectly known? Huh? The kids are outside is indirect knowledge. Now you have gained the knowledge through anumanam that there are kids playing. Now that knowledge in your mind is directly seen by you or indirectly seen by you? What will happen if it was indirect? You will need something else, you will need some anavastha dosha. You will go on. You made one inferential conclusion and is still clicking inside. But that is not true. All inferential, the knowledge part of it, the actual thing part of it is different. But the knowledge part of it is known to you. Yeah. Is Surendran here today? No. Anupalabdhi jnanam. Jnanam known to you. Are you getting that? The knowledge is sakshat, direct. Once it is coming to your mind. How it came to your mind, you can say direct and indirect. This knowledge came into your mind through direct perception. The kids came into your mind, the knowledge of the kids came into your mind through inference, indirect. Once it is in the mind, you are directly. Anyone here seen an atom? No, no. But you know it is there. Inference in science. Actually, that's aptavakyam. Inferential conclusion, isn't it? The knowledge is direct, always direct. No, exactly, because all in your mind, whatever is in your mind is directly known to you. Okay? Anumityadehe api manajanyatvat sakshatva apattehi. Okay? That is one thing. Then what will happen? Ishvara jnanasya. Now he is jumping. What happens to Ishvara's knowledge? You say Ishvara is all knowing, no? Correct? Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman. Even in Tarka, that much is taken. But Ishvara doesn't have a mind to know. He doesn't need to have a mind. He knows directly through Maya Upadhi. No sense organ used. If there is no sense organ used, then it should become indirect knowledge. That means Ishvara does not directly know what he is about. Gadabad ho jayega. Therefore, Indriya Jnanatvam is not the criteria for it being direct or not. Being directly known to you once it is there in the mind. Remember this. We are talking about once it has come into your mind. We are not talking about the process of gaining it. Process of gaining it, we are talking about 6 pramanas. So she understanding the difference, you are looking lost. There is inferential knowledge. So the process of gaining inferential knowledge is indirect. So you say knowledge is indirect. Once it has come into your mind, then what? Do you know there were kids playing out there? Yes, I knew. How did you know? Inference. I inferred it. But now, is it direct for you or indirect for you? Right now.
Right now, not direct.
Not direct, how? You are saying, this is like in school, the teacher is trying to teach. Johnny, if you have 2 chocolates in one pocket and 2 chocolates in another pocket, how many chocolates you have? Miss, I don't have any chocolates. You are saying the same thing. That they were children playing, you knew through inference. In your mind, that is direct or indirect? That is all. In your mind, it is direct. In your mind, it is direct. Yeah. All knowledge is direct, and as far as your mind is concerned, you directly know it now. You might have read it somewhere, you might have heard it somewhere. Yeah. You know what a water buffalo is? Water buffalo? You know what a buffalo is? A buffalo, you know. Okay. Are you seeing a buffalo now? Knowledge of a buffalo is direct or indirect? Same way. The knowledge that is in your mind is direct. Any knowledge. Process may be different, but once it comes into your mind, it is direct. That's all he's talking about. Okay? All right. This is the ending portion from where the recording went off last time. Okay? So from here. Any questions up to now, or this is clear?
So Swamiji,
yeah.
Just a couple of questions.
Yeah, shoot.
So the first question is, the knowledge of my ignorance also is direct.
Yep. Knowledge of ignorance is also direct. Knowledge of ignorance is also direct. Your knowledge is also direct, the knowledge of your ignorance is also direct. Why? Okay. Now he has not gone into that question here, Going into that question, I will say that whatever happens, okay, all that happens in your mind is Sakshi Vetyam. It is directly known to the Sakshi. It is the Sakshi that is objectifying it. Now here he has not gone into that question yet. He will go into that question later. Okay? Directly you, the witnessing consciousness, is witnessing it. So all that happens in your mind, how, by whatever process it has gone into your mind, once it has come into your mind, it is Sakshi Vetyam. Until then it may not be. Children are not Sakshi Vetyam. Children are not in perception also. That children are playing outside is Anumitik Jnana, is by inference. Once it comes in, do you have knowledge of that there were children playing outside? Yes. How? Direct. How did you gain the knowledge? Inference. Understand the difference here. The process of gain, the pramanas deal with the process of how you gain the knowledge. The methodology of gaining the knowledge are sixfold. Once it comes into your mind, it is direct for you. So when you say Anumanam is indirect knowledge, we talk about with respect to how that knowledge is being gained. And it is true, you never saw the children. You never saw. But you know it is there.
What's the difference between Sakshi and Sakshi Vaidyam? Because Sakshi is always there.
Yeah, so Sakshi Vetyam is with respect to what is there in the mind. You say this is an object of the Sakshi. Vetyam means what? Object of knowledge. No? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Sakshi is without Sakshi anything.
Without Sakshi, you won't get anything. That is true. So you are focusing on that. Yeah.
In the process of knowing what Brahman is, we are doing exactly the opposite. When you teach us what Brahman is, it is not through sense perception.
No, everything is not through sense perception.
Exactly. So, but that is how we.
Yeah.
So knowing is exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why now this is a higher level of learning, higher level. Otherwise, normally we will say that is inference, this is perception, perception is direct inference. At a general level, that works well. Now we are refining it further. Yeah.
Swami, when I talk about emotions,
Sakshi Vetyam.
straight away Sakshi Vaidyam.
Anything that is there in your mind is Sakshi Vetyam.
No, but there then I'm not using any pramana. I am.
That's exactly why I am saying Sakshi Vetyam. Yeah. Directly known by the Sakshi. Yeah. Anything happening in your mind known by the Sakshi.
Either with pramana or without the use of pramana, or I don't even say that.
What pramana is there in emotions?
No, that's what I'm saying.
That-
Even
So,
with-
what happens in your mind doesn't, I am saying whatever happens in your mind is Sakshi Vetyam. Whether it is knowledge, emotion, ignorance, whatever is there. It is not limited to knowledge. It is not limited to emotions. It is whatever there in your mind.
even the dreams because
Sakshi Vetyam, yeah. Everything is. How will the Atma gain the term Avastatraya Sakshi? Yeah, yeah. It's a standpoint, no? Avastatraya Sakshi is a way of looking at the Atma through the three avastas. Yeah. No, it will come back, but I am just getting my phone ready in case it's necessary. Sunday morning, no? Everyone sets up and first thing they do is start sending messages. All the characters know that I have a class at this time. Still the messages will keep coming. Okay, it's coming on. Can you all hear me?
No, I can't.
You can't see. Can you hear?
Now I can.
You can hear. Okay. You will see also. It will take a couple of minutes. Then you will see as well. Up to here, any questions? Up to what we have seen last time. Is there any question?
Yes, Swamiji, I want to know the.
He's saying, The internet is saying wait if you want to know. Because to pick this thing up, it takes a minute to pick it up. Come on, come. Why are you taking so long? इतना टाइम नहीं लेने का है. हाँ, आ गया ना. Though all the 2 public talks are edited and everything, not one issue with the net. Even though Friday evening you will expect a problem with that. Overloading, no? Nothing. Okay, now can you all see me?
I can't. Swami, I agree with you. My question is, can you throw someone like me at the Sadhya?
I can't understand what you're saying. My question is simple. Can you see and hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Make it a simple yes or no. Don't give me an explanation. Okay. Then, if this much is clear, he goes into what will you talk about as perception. He says, Siddhante Pratyakshatva Prayojakam Kimiti. What is your criterion to say something is perception or not perception? What's the criterion? Because Indriyajanyam is not perception. That we are negated. What is perception? Now this question is being answered by a counter question. Kim jnanagatasya pratyakshatvasya prayojakam pruchati kim vya vishayagatasya. When you are saying knowledge is, when you are saying perception, what is the criteria for perception? Are you talking about with respect to the object perception, or are you talking about with the knowledge in my mind? Again, remember, one level higher. So, we are making this distinction. Are you talking with respect to the object or with respect to the mind? Here you put the mind first. Are you talking about what is perception with respect to what is happening in your mind, perceptual knowledge, or object? Getting the distinction? No. If it's not, say no. Don't hesitate.
No, but Swamiji, without the knowledge of the, we have to see the object.
Neeta Ben, you are too soft. Either use a speaker or whatever. Or come closer.
Yeah, I'm very close to the.
Okay, now tell me, what is it?
No, I said we have to see the object to get the knowledge.
Exactly. So we are now making a difference between the object of knowledge and the knowledge. Is there a difference or is there no difference? Is there a difference between the object of knowledge, the phone, and the knowledge in my mind, phone? Neeta Ben, please answer. It is your question for you. Are you hearing me or no? If you all can hear me, just someone raise their hand, please. One second. There's some problem here. Okay. Can't connect with this network. What is the problem? Yeah. Okay, can you all see and hear me now? Okay.
Yes, Swami.
I like the response. I can hear and so what's happening, but you can't hear me. क्या बोलेगा? Okay. Now he is making this difference here, saying that we are talking about perception from two standpoints. The object of perception, and the knowledge of the object. So he is saying, when you are saying criteria for perception, what are you talking about? From the standpoint of knowledge of perception or from the standpoint of object of perception? Clear? Okay. Then he is saying, adye meaning knowledge of perception, pramana chaitanyasya vishayavichinna chaitanya abhedaha iti bhrumaha. There is something called pramana avichinna chaitanya, and there is something called vishaya avichinna chaitanya. Both of them being in the same time and place is called abheda, because they are two different things. Abheda, apparently different things. That abheda is what we call the criteria for perception of the knowledge. Now he explains it further. Tatahi trividam chaitanyam. Chaitanyam is manifest in a threefold manner. What is that? Vishya chaitanyam, the chaitanyam that is manifest as the object. This we have heard in Vedanta before, there is nothing new. Object. Then pramana chaitanyam, the pramana that is being used by your mind, pramana chaitanyam, and pramatra chaitanyam, the consciousness manifests as the knower. The consciousness now manifests as the object of knowledge, as the knowledge of the object, and the person who knows the object, knower. Consciousness manifests as the known, consciousness manifests as the knowledge, and consciousness manifests as the knower. Clear? Okay. Tatra gatadi avichinnam chaitanyam vishaya chaitanyam. What do you mean by vishaya chaitanyam? Object. Gatadi avichinnam, pot, etc. Gatadi avichinnam. Okay? Then antakarna vritti avichinnam chaitanyam, pramana chaitanyam. What is the knowledge? Consciousness manifests in the knowledge a particular vritti. Na? Therefore, the consciousness manifests as a particular vritti in your mind, particular thought in your mind is called pramana chaitanyam. Because whether it is perception, inference or whatever, shabda, finally what is it that negates ignorance? Thought born in your mind. Right or wrong?
Yes.
If your mind is elsewhere, what will happen? You will not know. You will not know. Therefore, pramana avichinna chaitanyam is a consciousness manifest in your mind. Then he says, antakarna avichinnam chaitanyam, pramatra chaitanyam. Who is the knower? Antakarna avichinnam chaitanyam. The chaitanyam manifests through a mind. That is the knower, I. When you say, I know this, what do you mean? You are identifying with your mind. Therefore, the consciousness manifest in your mind is the knower. So now you have a threefold manifestation. Manifestation is threefold. What is the threefold? Vishaya Vichinna Chaitanyam, Pramana Chaitanyam, the whole Vritti Avichinna Chaitanyam, the whole Antakarna Avichinna Chaitanyam. Clear up to now? Because without this being clear, you will get totally confused in what is going to follow. All right. So now there is a Chaitanya manifests in threefold manner. Okay, then what happens? Then he is giving you an explanation how perception takes place. Now, this is completely different from the scientific explanation. In one way, we can call it non-scientific, therefore not true, from one standpoint. But in science also, perception by using the theory of light is not 100% definite. Even though that's the most common thing used. All right, simple. So, if it is light reflected, you will see a riot of colors and things like that, isn't it? Because you have two eyes and they are focusing, you see a 3D version. Correct? This much is science. But you are not just seeing a 3D version of color. There is there is a reality there, isn't it? Can perception give you an idea of reality? Even science, it can't. How can it give you? If the theory is light is reflected in a 3D manner, can it give you a perception of reality? It cannot give you a perception of reality.
It is a perception, no? So it could be a wrongful one.
Yeah. The conclusion has to be mind. Therefore, mind has to be there involved in it. Whereas, in science, you only take it as brain function.
It is just lines and dots.
Yeah. Which, to an extent, has got a point. We are not saying it is wrong.
Formation of lines and dots.
Yeah.
That's why what we see and what an animal sees is very different.
Is different, exactly. But the animal and me both have an idea of reality. Where did that come from? His mind, my mind, whatever, there has to be some mind there. Plus, the theory of perception by light does not explain away error. And that is because there was not enough light. Then, like a computer, you should say low battery, insufficient light. When you're taking a camera photo, you say insufficient light. No? It doesn't say snake.
What about darkness?
Huh?
Darkness, how do you?
Yeah, how will you see darkness again? Yeah. So, even though the scientific explanation is a commonly accepted paradigm, it is by no means complete. It is by no means complete. Are you saying this particular theory is complete? No, I am not saying it is. Remember, perception, etc., we are dealing with Vyavahara. Therefore, little bit here and there it can happen. Is Vedanta a pramana for perception? No, it is only doing Anuvada. What is Vedanta pramana for? What you can't figure out yourself. For the Atma it is a pramana. For heaven and hell is a pramana. Not a pramana for perception. But it is doing Anuvada there. It is explaining from the standpoint of Vedanta how we look at it. And if I will go into it more later, talking about yogis and this and all that also, when even at the functional level, when you are doing something blindfolded, okay, like we have combat training blindfolded. Now blindfolded, how do you know somebody is hitting you? You don't. You can't see it. No? In the beginning you will not, after some time you will start sensing it, feeling it. That's just a sensation in terms of the vibrating hand, all those things, small things they have picked up. After some time of training like this, you will actually see the hand, but not like the gross hand like this, but all like a shaft of light in this shape coming to you. You will actually see that. It's like the whole thing is there, hand is there, but it is like all in the form of light, like, If you have seen Matrix, the third part, how he is injured, his eyes he cannot see, and how he is seeing, you see it exactly like that. That's come from the martial art part of it. He has picked it up from there. Yeah. You see, this happens. But for that level of training, very few martial artists survive to that level of training. Very few teachers who are teaching martial arts have come to that level of training, okay? What do you see? It's like this thing. Then when you open your eyes and see, you wonder which was true, like, that was true, this was true. So when you are going into that levels, your whole understanding of perception itself is different then. Keeping these things in mind, now have a look at what he's got to say. It's important to have this background. Otherwise you'll think, yeah, what nonsense he's talking about. Okay. So even if this is not taken as true and you're following the scientific model, it is okay. It can work out. Both ways it can work it out. But let us see what he is talking about. Tatra yatha tadaga udakam chidra nirgatya kule atmanaha kedaran pravishya tadeva chatushkonadi akaram bhavati. Here is a lake or a pond. It happens to be circular. Okay? It happens to be circular. Now in this circular pond there is a lot of water. Okay? In this circular pond there is a lot of water. Now from this circular pond we are going in this, there is a opening there. So the water is flowing out from that opening and flowing into the field. The field is square. Cultivated field is square. What form will the water take? Square. It won't say, I came from a circle, I will remain a circle. Take a square. Similarly, he says, tatha taijasam antakarnam api. The antakarna, which is conscious. Antakarna is conscious because associated with consciousness. Consciousness manifests there. That chaitanyam, okay, chakshuradi dwara, from the eyes, ears, etc., chakshuradi dwara, nirgatya, coming out from there, gatadi vishya desham gatva, is going to where that pot is. The pot is right there. So it's going to that pot. And Vishyakarena parinamate, it takes the form of the pot. Pure consciousness, formless. Manifests in the mind, it has some sort of a nebulous shape. Then it goes out, takes the form of the object. In this case, book. Because I don't have a pot here. Pot belly, not yet. May get there, but not yet. Okay. Gatadi Vishyagatva. Okay. Sa eva parinamaha vrittihi utvichate. This parinama is called a vritti. This parinama is called a vritti. So now what are you seeing? Because of that vritti, you are able to see the pot. Now, if you are going to look at it purely scientifically, okay, because today's world is scientific, one thing you can't avoid. What is that? For every perception there has to be a vritti. For every perception there has to be a thought. Whether the only difference is whether the thought is here or the thought is in my mind. This is only where you can debate about it and say, no, that is wrong, this is right. But you cannot say that a vritti is not necessary. You cannot say that. Because if you are going only by perception as light, the theory of light, then it will not explain away error. Insufficient light, the sense organs did its job. Your mind, instead of taking the form, the vritti of a rope, your mind took the vritti of a snake. That's how error can happen. If it is only going by light, you cannot explain away error. How will you explain error? Because there is no light. No light means your sense organs are reporting insufficient light. Why did you jump to the conclusion it is a snake? You are not saying, is it a snake? What is it? No. You have seen snake and you are looking for a stick, or you are looking to move away. Are you getting the idea? That response on your part, where it is a snake, that conclusion, how did that come without a vritti? There is no way it can come without a vritti. So that much is necessary. Now the question is whether the mind goes out or the mind stays here. That's all you can say. Whether the light brings the object to your mind or the mind goes out to the object, that you can have endless debate on. But vritti you cannot avoid. That vritti, there is no way you can avoid that. Because if you are avoiding the vritti and going only by photometry, theory of light, then how do you explain away error? You cannot explain away error. Because if you are going by pure science, what is mind? The information organizing section of your brain. Therefore, they don't even accept a software called brain, called mind. Then all the more, if you are going by that definition, you cannot see a snake at all. You cannot make a mistake. Information organizing, this information here is nebulous, not enough light. That's what the brain will say. Because it's a purely materialistic process. It's a mechanical process, isn't it? Insufficient light, insufficient light. Brain has organized that information, insufficient light. All this I can say, this insufficient light, it should say that. But it doesn't, not always. Sometimes it jumps to a snake. That means your mind comes into the picture. That means vritti has to be there for perception. If there is no vritti, there is no perception. Even if you don't make a mistake, you are sitting down at home, lost in thought. Your friend walks in. Light is reflected from the friend into your eyes, into your retina. That message is sent to the brain, etc. The brain should respond in perception of your friend. But it doesn't. Why? Mind gone. किधर है? ख्यालों में था क्या? किसके ख्यालों में था यार? We all have gone through this experience at some time or the other. No, same. Since I am speaking in English, I am making it simpler by calling mind. Antakarna and mind is one and the same. You know, if you want me to use all Sanskrit terms, I can use that. I am happy to do it. Then half the class will be in Sanskrit. Then don't blame me. Then I won't say knower. I will say Pramatra Vichanna Chaitanyam. Then you will start thinking, ye kya hota hai? I am comfortable. In fact, I can be more precise. So, are you getting this argument of the necessity of a vritti? The question is only whether the mind goes out or not. That small area, there is a question. Now, yeah?
Okay. Instead of going, say, the mind going out, we can also have vritti going out.
The mind going out is vritti going out only. What else is going out? So, the question is only there. The vritti is necessary. Now, pure science may not accept it. That is their problem. Then they will have to accept that we don't know completely about perception. You know, we still have to find about why errors take place. You sit and find. We will go ahead with our life. Okay. You sit and find. We will go ahead with our life. Yeah. Because this is an undeniable fact of experience. If you have a theory to explain it, tell me, I will look into it. We have a theory which says this is how perception is taking place. Why do we need this theory? Because perception is the fact of our lives. Can we ignore that? So we need to have a working knowledge of how it happens. No, it doesn't happen like that. It happens like that. Okay, doesn't matter. Really speaking, it doesn't matter. This is how you're looking at it. Because that mind and error. There are more things to it, but I don't want to confuse you all now. Next class or the class after that, I'll go into that. Okay. It's endless, okay? All right. Now, anumityadistale, when you are making an inference, etc., tu antakarnasya na bahyadi desha gamanam. The mind, antakarna, as a vritti, does not go out because you are making an inferential conclusion. Okay? Why? Bahya deksha chakshuradi asannikarshat. Why? Because with that fire that is there on the mountain and your eyes, there is no connection. For the mind to go, there has to be some sort of a linking. That linking is not available. That linking is not available. For the fire, for the mountain it is available, not for the fire. Smoke is there. Up to the smoke, the link is there. Mind goes. But for that fire, the mind cannot go because there is no link. That's why we say it is not perception. Inference. Exactly. See, all right. Now go by the paradigm that Vedanta is using. Mind goes here, forms the form. Correct? Perception. Now you are talking about inference. Fire on the mountain. So the mind will go only as far as you can see. Mountain, yes, mind goes. Smoke, yes. Fire, can't go because there is no connection between your sight and that. If there was a connection between your sight and the fire, what will fire become? Perception. Yeah, perception. Okay? All right. Okay. तथा च अयम घटा इत्यादि प्रत्यक्ष स्थले घट घटादेहे तद आकार वृत्तेश्च बहिर् एकत्र देशे समवधानात् तद उभय अविच्छिन्नं चैतन्यम एकमेव. He is explaining the criteria for this thing. He had said the Vishya Avichinna Chaitanyam and Pramatra Avichinna Chaitanyam should be at the same time and place. Ekaha should be. This is how it becomes Ekaha, because the mind has taken the form of the object and the Pramata is here, but both are there at the same time and place, both are connected together, both are become one. Apparently, can you separate the knower and the knowledge? You can separate the Atma and the knowledge. Can you separate the knower and the knowledge? Knower is you, knowledge is you. No? How do you separate knower and knowledge? You can say, I am a knower, but I don't know that. We are talking about what you know. That's why you are a knower. So, ekaha bhavati, both become one. Ekameva. Vibhajakayoho api antakarna vritti ghatadi vishehe ekadeshastattvena vedaha ajananakatvad. Okay. Veda drishtya. Now, supposing there are two pots in two different places, then also the same thing happens, you see. Like, for example, Ataeva Mata Antarvarti Gatavichinna Akasha. Mata Antarvarti in the ashram. Inside the ashram, there is Gata Avichinna Akasha here. Inside this room, there is a Gata Avichinna Akasha. Okay? Na Mata Avichinna Akashat Vidyate. Is it separate? Is the Gata Avichinna Chaitanyam here, Gata Avichinna Akasham here, different from the room Avichinna Akasha? It's part of the soul thing. No? Same way it happens here, he says. The Gata Avichinna, Vritti Avichinna Chaitanya, Vishya Avichinna Chaitanyam and the Pramatra Avichinna Chaitanyam is one. But there is a Bheda also, no? You can't say both are one consciousness. Both are one consciousness. Then where is perception? Perception happens because of the apparent differences. Because there is an apparent difference, you have to bring in an apparent connection or oneness. Oneness here is talked in more of connection. Are you getting the argument? He is saying this Akasha and this Akasha is one. But functionally, is there a difference or what? When you want to store some food, you're going to put it on the room or you're going to put it in the pot? वेदांता पढ़ने से भी प्रॉब्लम होता है, देखना पड़ेगा. Upadhi Vedat is there. And Upadhi Vedat is there, a connection has to be made. Therefore, everything is in Chaitanya. Everything is Chaitanya. But Nama Rupa Vedat, you have to bring in that connection. And the connection happens through your mind. Whether the mind is going out there or that is coming in here, but the mind is necessary. No one thought perception was so complicated. Yeah. That will okay. We will come to that. Yeah. Here is saying the Vishayavachanna Chaitanyam, Pramatra should be seen. And that happens because of the Pramana, the Vritti connection. But Pramana, I will come to it. This is, we are talking about Pramana. This is how knowledge is perception. Remember, criteria for knowledge with respect to knowledge of perception. This is how knowledge of perception happens. Object of perception will come to it. It is similar. It's almost the same, but we'll come to it. But I'm going step by step, so people don't get confused. Up to here, clear? If there is any doubt, ask. Okay? Any doubt, ask. He says, perception with respect to knowledge of perception is when the Vishayavachinna Chaitanyam and Pramatra Avichinna Chaitanyam is at the same time and place. Simple.
We've always said this in Vedanta.
Said, but now you are going to make a difference between knowledge and object. Udhar gadbad hota hai. Yeah?
Yeah, you have explained it as vritti vyapti, no?
Yeah, vritti vyapti, phala vyapti, all that. Yes. Yeah. So this we are talking about both vritti vyapti and phala vyapti. Because only then knowledge is complete. Okay. Clear? आगे जाऊं? Okay.
Swamiji,
Yeah?
so if let's say based on today's science,
Yeah.
we know that certain stars are billions of light years away.
Yeah.
So that means in this model, the mind is able to traverse
Yeah.
so-called.
If you can see it, you can, mind travels.
Okay.
Yeah. See, because, again the problem comes in science is mind is equated to brain. If the mind is equated to brain, then there is no travel. But if you are talking about, like in psychology, for example, the mind is the software inside the hardware called brain. Okay? When you are talking about that, then the whole question is different. The mind can travel to what you think of, the mind goes there. The mind, you think of the moon, the mind is in the moon. Think of the sun, the mind is there. Try it out. When you go home, try out this experiment. You will find it fun. Okay? You are sitting quiet, thinking of the sun. Your eyes are closed also. Okay? Just keep thinking of the sun. You will find yourself getting hotter. Thank God, not hot enough to burn. I'll guarantee you that. Try it out. This is part of our upasana on Surya Deva. Don't do it in summer. Summer is not meant the time for that. It's too. Like Dayananda and all have seen me walking in Badri Kedar without a sweater. Correct? And when people keep cribbing about the cold, I remove my kurta also, come with an angavastra. Kedarnath, 12,000 feet above, cold. I come. Why? You're warm enough. Internal warmth is there. So it's part of your upasana. It happens. It's easy to do it. Once you get it, it takes a little bit practice on this. So it is not that you are going to the sun, you are not feeling hot. There are certain protective responses in the mind which prevent it from getting burnt. Yeah. But warm you will be. Yeah. In that internal warmth that you can go around. I don't know whether you have heard about this person. He was supposed to be Indira Gandhi's advisor. He got into a lot of problems. He was called Dhirendra Brahmachari. Some of you must have heard about him. Dhirendra Brahmachari. He was not a sadhu as such. He was a yoga teacher. And very good. As yoga is very good. The problem with him is, along with being a yoga teacher, he also ran an armament factory. And you don't really associate the two. But you can. Why not? Is there a rule that you cannot legally run an armament factory? Just because you are a yoga teacher? He's not a sadhu. Sadhu you can say, yeah, it doesn't fit in with the image. But yoga teacher? This guy would wear a dhoti and angavastram and walk around in Moscow in the winter. He went for a conference. I have seen this on the TV. He is walking in an angavastram and on the side there is all snow. And the local Russians are looking at him, what's wrong with this guy? Like, they are all coated up, booted up. The question is, how much of these things you are harnessing? Now for Vedanta, we don't have to harness any of these things. These are all we dismiss as siddhis. I use a very minimalistic aspect of it, right? To stop my students from cribbing about the cold. That's all. Minimalistic aspect. You don't crib about the cold. Chalo, bite away. When you see me walking around in Angavastram in Kedarnath, they are not going to crib about the cold to me after that. They can crib to each other. That's okay. Come and crib to me and make it my problem. It is not my problem. You're feeling cold. You are warned before coming to Kedarnath, it will be cold. Abhi kya karu? Yeah. Simple as that. Okay.
The last argument is the Vishaya Vritti and the Pramana Vritti, there is a difference.
Yeah, but then they both have to come together. Only then perception will take place. Na? Perception, knowledge depends upon the Vishaya Avichinna Chaitanyam, Pramatra Avichinna Chaitanyam, being one. Being one means same time, same place. Here being one is not like some great Aikya Buddhi or something. Same time and place is there together.
But separation is not possible also, no? Is it possible? How it is possible?
In my home, okay, there's a nice bar to do pull-ups on. Vishaya Avichinna Chaitanya. Pramatra Avichinna Chaitanya. Is there a connect between the two? Right now? When it will be a connect? When you go and see it. Are samajhe barabar bola tha, hai idhar. He was not just saying an example. Are you getting the idea? Therefore, them becoming one at the same time and place, that is called perceptual knowledge. When the Vishaya Avichinna Chaitanyam, Pramatra Avichinna Chaitanyam, both are at the same time and place, you call it perceptual knowledge.
So then direct perception and indirect perception does not
It does not matter. Sukha Avichinna Chaitanyam, Pramatra Avichinna Chaitanyam, are they both in the same time and place? Yeah, perception. That's why Sukhadi is perception.
I'm not sure what the question is, but there is a role that memory will play.
Memory also. memory plays a role in everything, no? See, if it, without language there is no this thing, knowledge gain. So that much memory plays a part. It is not a direct component, it's secondary reasons. It plays a secondary role. Yeah. Yeah.
Take for example, when we say 18 degree centigrade,
Hmm.
we think it is winter.
Hmm.
But people in UK, they
Yeah.
think that it is summer.
Yeah.
But the thing is the same.
Yeah. So when you are saying this is winter, this is summer, based on the temperature, that is the conclusion your mind is making further. Perception is only as far as the temperature is concerned. After that, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like in our camp, when Sandra came from Turkey, he found it very nice and pleasant. Why? There it is cold, here it's pleasant. Yeah. She went back after a month. 1 month she was in here. So she got acclimatized to the weather here. Oh my God, from nice warm weather, I'm coming to freezing cold. So the whole thing is relative. Yeah. Perception is only factual. You are talking about the factual thing. Yeah. The factual things is what we are talking about, perception or non-perception. There is a further subjectivity added to it. Here, because there is knowledge, we are keeping the subjectivity apart. When you are talking about the human experience, subjectivity will be bound to be involved in it. In fact, when you use the word experience, that's why the word experience is subjective. The word knowledge of the book, this is not subjective. This is knowledge, factual.
The knowledge can be erroneous, but experiences are always
Yeah, either it can be erroneous knowledge, Brahma, then it won't fit in the definition of abhaditam, anadigatam. Or it can be factual perception, knowledge, where anadigatam, abhaditam, etc. fits in. Vyavahara kale, okay? And Vyavahara dashayam, as far as your transactional world is concerned. Now, in your transactional world, I went to Kedarnath and came back. How was it? Oh, what a beautiful experience. Now, that beautiful experience is my subjectivity part of it. Are you getting the idea? Someone else may not find it beautiful. अरे यार ये क्यों मेरे को मरने को लेके आया है ठंड में. I remember we all went on a trek. We were sleeping in tents. It was not very high, about 8,000 feet. ज़्यादा नहीं था. It's only about 8,000 feet high. And there was small, when you carry a tent, there are small tents, 2 people in a tent. So we all sitting and we get into the tents early because it's cold outside. You know, you get into the tents. By 8 o'clock, 8:30, we are in the tents. But we are chatting across tents, you know, because all the tents are grouped together. And suddenly one character says, काय को आया इधर ठंडी में मरने के लिए, वो भी पैसा सब खर्चा करके. It was a friend, my batchmate. Now look at it. Others are thinking, hey, मजा आ रहा है इधर. That guy is thinking, no, that is a subjective element. What is the knowledge part of it? We are in a tent. We are in a structure, canvas structure, that it is this is the temperature outside, this is it. This is all factual. All factual. And you are surprised because I have a habit. When I sleep, I don't like to wear sweater, this, that, etc. I like to wear the minimalistic clothes. So I am taking off my sweater, my kurta. Hey, how are you going to sleep? Just a t-shirt. Just a t-shirt. You're getting into a sleeping bag anyways, what does it matter? T-shirt है क्या sweater है, sweater भी उसको ऊपर चाहिए क्या? It's a vritti. Here is where you make difference in the vritti. Is it a pramana vritti or is it a anubhava vritti? Emotional vritti. Is it knowledge? Is it emotion? Is it memory? We make those differences, na? Antakarnam is one, but emotions, knowledge, memory, ahankara. These are the 4 dimensions of it. No? Then, so these are all emotional vrittis. Emotion means subjectivity. No? We can try to be objective, but an emotion fundamentally is subjective. I like mangoes. Most people seem to like it. Therefore, this seems to be objective. But it is not. There are many people who don't like it also. Yeah. So, what is objectivity changes? Yeah. So, all emotions subjective. If it matches to the objective reality, your life has got a balance. That's why we talk about vairagya, etc., objectivity. Bring objectivity into your life. Why? Because your emotional life, let it be based on factual things, not only on your conclusions, not only on your subjective projections. Therefore, to cut down your subjective projections, we bring in the value of vairagya to make it as objective as possible. But it's never totally objective. Yeah. It's like years back in college, I remember. Beautiful girl walks in. I say, wow. And the demonstrator, we are doing an experiment in a physics lab. He's telling me, relax man, she's 80% water. I said, true sir, but what surface tension? All objective statements, right? That 80% water is an objective statement. Great surface tension is also an objective statement. But the whole thing is based on subjectivity. On your idea of beauty, it's subjective. Yeah, the idea of beauty is subjective, isn't it? Ideas of beauty keep changing. Yeah. In fact, in Valmiki Ramayana, there is a description. Sita is in the forest, guarded by all the women. And two of the Rakshasas are talking with each other. Ravana must be mad to fall for this girl. She is so slim. She doesn't even have a belly. How can he fall for someone like this? Valmiki writing, okay? So you expect some factuality in what Valmiki is writing. Idea of beauty keeps changing. So there is a subjective element in your life. So the idea is to keep it objective, so that as far as knowledge is concerned, it remains objective. Remember in my communication workshop, I told you all something. It's important to bring it here. What you see, perceptual data. Your perceptual data creates some thinking. The thinking can be as objective as possible, or it can bring a subjective element. There generally is a subjective element also in thinking. That is why from thinking you go to, next step will be what? Emotions. What do you feel about the whole thing? From emotions, next step will be desire. Next step will be action or lack of it. Now all these things comes in, why? Data is and data. If you are like Spock in Star Trek, isn't that a beautiful girl? Yes. She fits into the standard of beauty that you earthlings have. Spock, what do you feel about it? There is no need to feel. There is only to know. If you are like that, you are totally objective. But we are not like that. So we have to make an attempt, as far as knowledge is concerned, keep it objective. And then when you come to Vedanta, you completely demolish the subject-object divide. Because subject-object divide is adhyasa. Subject-object divide is purely based on adhyasa. So we are talking about known differences only from the functioning standpoint. Understand that. Don't forget Vedanta when you are studying this. Otherwise it will become academic. Vedanta says that, Paribhasa says this. Then each will become a ideology or a doctrine. I dismissed that in the doctrine of Alata Shanti. The whole doctrine part I dismissed it. No, it's from certain standpoints. Hope it is clear. Good place to stop. So from the other part of it, we will go next class. Okay. This is confusing.